Chapter 85, 30,000 Miles of Sword Energy. Princess Yulin. Everyone knew her as a delicate and weak little girl. At the age of 16, she truly was more delicate than a flower. There was no need for her to put any makeup on her face. Her natural beauty was her greatest treasure and asset. She walked on the pure white snow without leaving a trace. Her body was as light as a swallow as she rushed towards Wolf Story Mountain. As for the human god that was already covered in snow, Princess Yulin didn't feel anything at all. She might be kind, but she wasn't stupid. She came to the plains to solve the problems of the Yuha god dynasty, the millions of common people at the borders, and also her own. Decades ago, amidst a snowstorm like this, Lin Jufeng also had to kill Marshal Sage Tumen. No one knew about this matter anymore. Emperor Ming, the only one who knew about it back then, had already passed away. The battle forced the Shanbei tribes to withdraw their ambitions for 20 years. Now, they wanted to make a comeback. Princess Yulin, who had received a portion of Lin Jufeng's legacy, carried his sword case and came here. In a situation where no one thought highly of her. She drew her sword for the first time and killed a human god. This news quickly spread throughout the world. After all, she was the only princess of the Yuha god dynasty. Many people still paid attention to her. Some people solemnly vowed that once Princess Yulin arrived at the plains, she would be arrested and sent to Wolf Story Mountain. Then, she would be married to the king. After that, she would bear a child for him. This was humiliating for the princess of a god dynasty. Ordinary girls that had babies out of wedlock were often discriminated against. This discrimination would be amplified given that Princess Yulin was from the royal family. If this happened, then their reputation would truly be dragged across the mud. But the truth was too distant from everyone's expectations. Before Princess Yulin entered the plains, she didn't say a word. She ignored the rumors from the outside world and focused on her objective. After entering the plains, she only struck once. This strike allowed her to cross the threshold between a martial sage and a human god. Defeating the strong with the weak. The world was shocked by this lone strike. Was this Princess Yulin that everyone was talking about, the innate realm cultivator who was playing around and overestimating herself? She entered the plains and executed a strike, and she killed a human god with just this single strike. Although the recovery of the world's spiritual energy had intensified, and there were more human gods in recent years, the world was still so vast. Therefore, a human god was still a rare and powerful existence. Yet she killed him with one strike. Ridiculous. The world was yet again thrown into an uproar. They were now looking at Princess Yulin in a different light. Her trip to the plains that they originally disregarded had now become their focus, the focus of the entire world. When sect leader Luo Yu heard about this, he was dumbfounded. Slaying a human god with one strike, was she still that delicate Princess Yulin? In Wolf Story Mountain, Morong Ling flew into a rage and scolded. Idiot. He couldn't even defeat a 16-year-old girl, and not only that, but he was even killed by a single strike. He has simply thrown away the prestige of the great Sha Dragon Sparrow. Send out a stronger powerhouse. I want to see her here in 3 days. The powerhouses of the great Sha Dragon Sparrow finally paid attention to this matter. More footprints appeared on the pure white snow. Princess Yulin carried a sword case while trudging towards Wolf Story Mountain. Wolf Story Mountain looked majestic and magnificent. Princess Yulin saw it from a distance. The night had already come, and she didn't continue on her way. Instead, she chose a cave and lit a bonfire. The blazing bonfire raised the temperature of the cave. Princess Yulin rubbed her hands with a flushed face. She spent her entire day walking in such coldness that it became a rare opportunity for her to kindle a bonfire to warm herself up amidst the heavy snow and cold. The temperature has dropped too much in this heavy snow. I'm at the martial sage realm, but after walking in the snow for an entire day, my body has gone cold too. Those ordinary people are indeed pitiful living in such a harsh environment like this, Princess Yulin lamented. But as emotional as she was, Princess Yulin still didn't like those who wanted to live by plundering or taking the lives of others. I must go to Wolf Story Mountain and kill that Morong Ling. Once he's dead, the Shanbei people will be afraid and they won't dare to harass the people of the Yuha god dynasty anymore, Princess Yulin said firmly. The outside world was as black as an inkstone. From time to time, mournful cries could be heard along with quick and violent trumpets. A cold voice came from the snowstorm. I'm afraid you won't be able to kill him. A human god from the plains walked over. You truly cannot kill him. Just be obedient and become our king's plaything. A second human god walked over. It's been a long time since we became human gods. In fact, we are the first batch of people to become human gods, not that clown in the imperial capital of your Yuha god dynasty who doesn't even dare to show his face. The third human god ridiculed. The three human gods arrived together. On the snowy night, while braving the wind and snow, they found Princess Yulin. The three of them were very powerful human gods. They were more powerful than the human god that she met and ended. The man that Princess Yulin killed was a newly minted human god. These three were human gods that ascended into the human god realm a long time ago. Each of them was formidable, and they all surrounded Princess Yulin. Princess Yulin looked at them and her heart couldn't help but sink. She was only a peak martial sage realm, how could she possibly deal with three human gods on her own? She placed her hand on the sword case. This was her only source of confidence. Your Royal Highness, please come out. Come back with us to Wolf Story Mountain and marry the king. The first human god calmly announced. He moved and blocked Princess Yulin's escape route. We won't hurt you, but we hope that you won't fail to appreciate our kindness. The second human god threatened. Every year when it snows, many people will freeze to death. The results of the negotiations with the Yuha god dynasty this year will depend on your performance today. The third human god sneered. Three human gods sealed the exit. They stared at Princess Yulin, making her hair stand on end. Rumble. The snowstorm outside became more rapid and violent. The air had become even colder, it seemed to be symbolizing death itself. Princess Yulin suddenly recalled Lin Jufeng's words. She only needed to focus on killing the enemy and that she should leave the rest to the sword case. Princess Yulin's eyes lit up. Thinking of Lin Jufeng, the fear and the coldness in her body slowly disappeared. This sword case was given to Princess Yulin by Lin Jufeng. It contained all of his treasured swords. This was her source of confidence. I reject every condition that you lot have offered. Princess Yulin shook her head directly, then she decisively opened the sword case. Buzz. The long swords in the sword case emerged. They all exuded a sharp and chaotic aura. The treasured swords had been nurtured. Since then, they had only become even stronger. Just as she opened the sword case, a faint shadow appeared behind Princess Yulin. It was Lin Jufeng's divine soul which he had taken out and placed in the sword case. The sword case opened and his divine soul appeared. Master! Princess Yulin shouted in surprise. This was the first time that she saw Lin Jufeng's appearance. As she thought, he was indeed an otherworldly expert. A powerful and fierce man. Look carefully. I taught you before that the ultimate heaven-slashing sword skill can split the sky into two and cut down gods. You killed a human god with your own strength, but you have no idea how to split the sky. But today, let me show you the true power of the ultimate heaven-slashing sword. Lin Jufeng's divine soul grabbed the demon-slaying sword from the sword case. Then, he unsheathed the sword. The resulting sword energy was 30,000 miles in length. The world is vast and I only have this one sword. However, my sword energy is 30,000 miles long. Lin Jufeng's divine soul fiercely announced. The three human gods looked at the sword energy that seemed to split the sky into two. Indeed, it was 30,000 miles in length. They were beyond dumbfounded. In the land basked with darkness, snowflakes fell one after another onto the ground. It was as if the heavens had sprinkled a dash of snowflakes to cover the filth of the world with its pure white sheen. Despite such a snowy and cold night, the land within a radius of tens of thousands of miles around Wolf Story Mountain remained active. The people in the Wolf Story Mountain were all in their rooms, surrounding their stoves while chatting. They all looked forward to their gains after plundering the Yuha god dynasty. But no one expected that a sword energy would suddenly shoot over from afar. Like a thunderclap, it streaked across the sky. The cold sword energy illuminated the night, its brightness was reflected within the retinas of those that witnessed its fleeting might. They seemed to have seen the purest thing in the world. It was so beautiful, flawless, and surreal. The whiteness of the snowflakes couldn't compare to this sword energy. Countless Shanbei people witnessed this sword energy that spanned 30,000 miles. Its brightness lasted for a long time. Every light on Wolf Story Mountain was instantly kindled. Countless people ran out and watched in surprise. Sword God. The Shanbei people fell to their knees under this sword energy. On the other hand, the complexions of some of the powerhouses changed drastically. They sensed that something was amiss and they hurried on their way. 30,000 miles wasn't a long distance for a human god. They arrived in less than 15 minutes. But what greeted their eyes made the Shanbei powerhouses tremble. The biggest mountain in front of Wolf Story Mountain had been cut off at this moment, the top half had crashed onto the ground. The cut was extremely smooth and flat. The heavy winds whistled. Against the background of this sword energy, the whistling winds themselves seemed terrifying, making one tremble in fear. The snow tonight was especially cold and fierce. A human god discovered the cave and saw the extinguished bonfire. His gaze was faint as he looked at the spot where Princess Yulin had previously sat. Here, the residual charm of the sword energy still lingered. It made his entire body feel as if he had fallen into an icy cavern. The storm outside continued. He couldn't help but raise his head to take a look. His eyes focused as he looked in the direction of Princess Yulin's position. He happened to see the beautiful and flawless sword energy that remained in the air. Dead, the human god said with bitterness in his mouth. He discovered the 3 human gods that had surrounded this place. They were vaporized by the sword energy. Not even their ashes were left behind. But their auras remained. As the snowstorm swept across, their auras became fainter and fainter. After a while, they disappeared. The few human gods that rushed over looked at each other. Just how powerful is this princess? A human god swallowed his saliva and asked in shock. Why do I feel that something big is about to happen? Another human god asked worriedly. The others shook their heads, unable to answer this human god's question. On this snowy night, some were speechless, some were shocked, some were angry, and some were puzzled. After Lin Jufeng's strike, Princess Yulin saw the 3 human gods melting into the void. She knew that Lin Jufeng's strike just now was for her to see. Killing these human gods was just something he casually did along with the process of displaying that particular move to her. The human gods were like ants in front of Lin Jufeng. Master, just how powerful are you? And why does Brother Emperor look so similar to you? Princess Yulin wasn't stupid. After seeing Lin Jufeng, she easily thought of the connection between her brother and him. Lin Jufeng and Emperor Yuan looked incredibly similar. Even Emperor Yuan's son, Lin Tianyuan, didn't look that similar to Lin Jufeng. But unexpectedly, Emperor Yuan's grandson looked very similar to Lin Jufeng. I will set this aside for now and think about it in the future. With Master's help this time, I will definitely be able to solve this problem. Princess Yulin thought. Those who worked hard enough would definitely be rewarded. Thus, she continued on her journey to Wolf Story Mountain. As she walked, she was also trying to comprehend the move Lin Jufeng displayed just now. Brilliant and invincible, that lone move alone made one tremble from the bottom of their hearts. Princess Yulin vividly remembered how Lin Jufeng executed that move. Slashing the heavens, splitting the sky into 2, and cutting down gods. The ultimate heaven-slashing sword skill was worthy of its title as one of the strongest sword techniques in the world. With her mind focused on comprehending that move earlier, Princess Yulin seemed to have forgotten the cold in this harsh environment. As she walked, she couldn't even feel the cold snowflakes landing on her skin. It was because as her understanding of that move grew, the chilling sword energy in her body also grew more powerful as it shot out and protected her against the cold. From now on, you must constantly unsheathe the sword in your heart. Draw, slash, and accumulate your aura that is constantly growing stronger as we speak. If you can do this 10,000 times before you arrive at Wolf Story Mountain, you would achieve the minimum standard required to seamlessly execute this sword technique, Lin Jufeng said. Princess Yulin's eyes lit up as he nodded. Yes, master. Draw the sword, slash out. Draw the sword, slash out. Draw the sword, slash out. Princess Yulin walked in the snow. She didn't fly, nor did she use any movement techniques to move faster. Every step she took created a pit in the snow. She spent most of her time drawing her sword in her heart. Every stroke required her to treat it with all her heart and soul. She could slash out the sword if she didn't make a single mistake. One sword after another, it never stopped. Princess Yulin worked very hard. She traveled through the night. The journey to Wolf Story Mountain should have only lasted a short while considering her cultivation base. But she walked for an entire night without ever reaching it. Traversing in the snow, practicing the sword in her heart. With a sword case on her back, the delicate and beautiful Princess Yulin remained stubborn deep down in her bones. She continued to walk in peace and determination. But the outside world was thrown into an uproar by that sword energy last night. The 30,000 miles long sword energy shocked the world and the planes at the same time. Overnight, the news spread like wildfire. In the forbidden city of the Yuha god dynasty, Emperor De was shocked upon receiving the news. Then, he started to laugh out loud. His younger sister was indeed formidable. The court officials were also shocked by this news. Entering the plains in the daytime, she killed a human god. At night, she killed 3 human gods. She even slashed out a sword energy that was 30,000 miles in length. Was she still the Princess Yulin who looked very cute when she smiled? The sect leader and the old Taoist priest of Zenith Heaven Path sect were both speechless. 2 pieces of news came in a day, each more shocking than the other. That Princess Yulin, whom everyone thought was overestimating her own capabilities, had stunned the world with her own performance. There must be someone guiding her from behind. Otherwise, she wouldn't be able to do such a thing. Sect Master Luo Yu said through gritted teeth. The old Taoist priest nodded and asked, "Who do you think it is?" "That hidden old fellow in the imperial capital. He was the one who dealt with the demons 5 years ago. It must be him," sect leader Luo Yu said firmly. "It seems that he is very powerful," the old Taoist priest said coldly. "We must find him. He will be an obstacle to our goal of swallowing up the Yuha god dynasty." Sect leader Luo Yu nodded. "I will." As the world was discussing Princess Yulin, she had already arrived at the foot of Wolf Story Mountain. Since ancient times, several generals have fought their way here. They intimidated Shanbei and battered them up until they couldn't even lift their heads. But no woman has ever done it before. Today, I, Lin Yulin, will be the first to do so. Princess Yulin's face turned red from excitement. She was still cute and lovable. A 16-year-old girl couldn't be sexy, but she was akin to that of a fairy. Her words rang loud and clear with a clear-cut determination to follow through with her goal. On the base of Wolf Story Mountain, Princess Yulin carried the sword case on her back. Then, she took out her own sword from her waist. Her gaze was firm. Then, she drew the sword. With her eyebrows raised sharply, she slashed out. After drawing the sword 10,000 times in her heart, the aura she accumulated all this while directly burst out. Boom! On the base of Wolf Story Mountain, Princess Yulin stepped into the human god realm. At the foot of Wolf Story Mountain, Princess Yulin drew her sword, raised her eyebrows, and slashed out before stepping into the human god realm. Her soaring sword energy swept through Wolf Story Mountain, alarming everyone on the mountain. "It's that princess. She's here. What a powerful aura, she's at the human god realm. She's just a human god. How did she manage to kill 3 human gods and melted them with a single sword energy that spanned for 30,000 miles? Inform the king. He will capture and bring her into his harem. He shall give birth to his children in droves." On Wolf Story Mountain, countless discussions were made. The huge Wolf Story Mountain could easily accommodate 1 million people. But now, they were all alarmed by Princess Yulin's sword energy. Her boundless sword energy continued to become even stronger. It rose and lifted Princess Yulin into the air. The scene made her look as if she was a martial goddess. She raised her head, her eyes were bright and full of spirit. Who said that women were inferior to men? She, Princess Yulin, was also a cultivation genius. In just half a year, she went from a princess at the innate realm to a human god. Although it was mainly because her master taught her well, it would still be useless if she didn't have enough talent. Princess Yulin's confidence was greatly boosted at this moment. Rumble. Her clothes fluttered and her hair danced in the wind. The aura around her was tremendous and vast, making her look valiant and brave. She spread her arms and the sword energy that seemed to be able to pierce the sky appeared behind her once more. It suppressed the entire Wolf Story Mountain. How insolent! On the summit of the Wolf Story Mountain was a white palace. Not far from the white palace was a red palace. The 2 biggest factions of the Great Sha Dragon Sparrow lived in these 2 separate palaces. The king of the Great Sha Dragon Sparrow lived in the White Palace. He handled the state affairs and managed the huge Great Sha Dragon Sparrow. The people of the Essence Chi sect lived in the Red Palace, presiding over the rituals, treatments, and the preaching of the Tao in Shanbei. This was the unchanging theme of the Great Sha Dragon Sparrow. The White Palace handled the state affairs and the Red Palace focused on the Tao. The cold shout just now came from the White Palace. King of the White Palace, Murong Ling. He saw just how bold this Princess Yulin was. She actually dared to raise her sword energy against the Wolf Story Mountain. This was a blatant provocation to the Shanbei people. In the hearts of the Shanbei people, Wolf Story Mountain was their sole holy land. This was also the reason why the various powerhouses from the dynasties of the Central Plains wanted to fight their way to Wolf Story Mountain and intimidate the Shanbei people. But 99.9% of them were killed by the latter. And now, Princess Yulin was also challenging the Shanbei people. As Murong Ling shouted, a boundless suppressive aura came crashing down. It was as if the sky itself had collapsed onto the earth down below, causing it to crack. A human god trying to fight against the Wolf Story Mountain. I shall suppress you and catch you here to bear children for me. With your talent, it will be a huge loss if you don't give birth to more than 10 or maybe even 20 children. Murong Ling's large hand came down. It carried with it his majestic and boundless aura as well as the piercing cold winds. Princess Yulin's face turned slightly cold. She looked at the imposing aura that was so vast that it seemed to be able to completely cover the sky. She stopped in her tracks. Don't stop. Continue forwards. You must do this all the way in one go. Lin Jufeng has been silently paying attention all this while. At this crucial moment, he reminded Princess Yulin. Whenever one was in the middle of an activity with the knowledge that they would inevitably fail, it was better if they might as well go all in for a chance to win. If she retreated now, she would really be at the mercy of others. She would be unable to control her own fate by then. Princess Yulin clenched her fist and screamed. The aura around her instantly rumbled and emerged. You want me to bear children for you. Hope for that in your next life. Princess Yulin soared into the sky, bringing with her the boundless sword energies she had accumulated on her journey. Thousands of terrifying sword energies accompanied Princess Yulin as she charged upwards. She was determined, unafraid of the consequences. Boom, boom, boom. The air itself exploded as an incomparably terrifying shockwave directly spread for hundreds of miles with Princess Yulin at its epicenter. An ant trying to shake a tree. You're overestimating yourself. Murong Ling snorted coldly. His face was cold as he pushed down with one hand and stood in front of the White Palace. He looked down on the people of the world like a lofty god. From the beginning till the end, he remained arrogant. You are a human god. I am also a human god too. I am more than enough to kill you. Princess Yulin carried thousands of sword energies with her as she flew over. The scene was like a meteor shower, but she was the brightest of them all. And this meteor shower appeared in the mortal realm to kill the arrogant Murong Ling. Thousands of years ago, I was the brightest star on the plains. I broke through to the human god realm in an era where the spiritual energy in the world was in decline. Then, I sealed myself for 3,000 years and emerged once more in this brand new era. I have the aptitude to become an immortal and I have the future to become one of the supremacies. For me to fancy you is a blessing that you won't be able to cultivate in 9 lifetimes. Murong Ling's face was cold and proud as he revealed his origins. No matter how tough of a nut you are to crack, you'll bow down to me. Murong Ling suddenly clapped with both of his palms. Boom! The mountains collapsed and the earth itself split. The sky itself seemed to have exploded. The scene was pure chaos and pandemonium. The impact of his attack directly swept across everything. We are both human gods. Our realms might be the same, but our pedigrees are different. I am the sky, and you are the earth. We cannot be compared to each other at all. Murong Ling sneered as he stood on the summit of the Wolf Story Mountain. Both of his hands were on his back, making him look like a wise powerhouse. He was full of confidence. Rumble. Princess Yulin, who was charging with her sword energies, suffered a head-on attack. Her sword energies collided with Murong Ling's aura. Under the gazes of millions, cracking sounds echoed non-stop. Her sword energies couldn't compare to Murong Ling's aura at all. The earth's shattering force directly shattered all of Princess Yulin's sword energies. Then, it came crashing down. Just this one strike was enough to make Princess Yulin's cultivation base explode. She would directly be crippled by this attack. Then, she would become a machine whose sole purpose was to give birth. Facing the attack head-on, Princess Yulin even found it hard to control her own body. Fragments of sword energies danced in her eyes. Endless snow accompanied this terrifying force as it swept towards her, transforming into a snowstorm like evil dragon that bared its fangs and brandished its claws. The evil dragon was huge as it charged over, wanting to devour and crush her directly with its jaws. She couldn't move at all. She was just going with the flow. The gap between them was really as huge as Ling had stated. Princess Yulin looked on in despair. The evil dragon was about to approach and devour her in one bite. Clang! At this moment, the sword case on her back fell off. Amidst the wind and snow that filled the sky and in front of Ling's attack, it swiftly opened. Beams of sword light shot out. These sword lights had a cold white color. Unlike the whiteness of the snowflakes, its whiteness was similar to the color of bones. Beams of sword light weaved with each other, forming a sword formation that supported Princess Yulin's body. The massive evil dragon charged down and opened its mouth to bite. Slash! 365 sword lights exploded at the same time. When they converged, they directly pierced through the sky and they also directly shattered Ling's attack. Rumble! The sword slashed the evil dragon and forced it to explode. Princess Yulin's eyes lit up. She happily called out, "Master!" At the crucial moment, her master saved her one more. "I'm teaching you a sword technique called the Death Bone Sword Technique. Feel it with your heart." Lin Jufeng's voice sounded in Princess Yulin's ear. Princess Yulin immediately focused on sensing it. Lin Jufeng's divine soul controlled the bone swords and repeated Princess Yulin's actions just now. Soaring to the skies. The difference was that Princess Yulin failed despite carrying thousands of sword energies. But Lin Jufeng only carried 365 strands of sword energy, yet they were invincible. They slashed the stars and the moon before directly arriving in front of the White Palace. "Sword, come!" Lin Jufeng's divine soul instantly possessed Princess Yulin as he shouted with her voice. A sound that reverberated throughout the plain summoned the bone swords. Click! 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 The bone swords actually began to fuse, each of them becoming one. Together, like parts from the same machine, they formed a lone and terrifying bone sword. Lin Jufeng controlled Princess Yulin's body and used her hand to hold this large and broad bone sword. Then, he slashed down with all of his might. Boom! At this moment, everyone in the plains felt this extremely terrifying sword energy. Their faces abruptly changed, including Ling's. His face turned ugly and green. Dong, dong, dong. The bone sword landed, but it didn't kill Ling. Instead, it directly split Wolf Story Mountain into two. The earth shook and the mountain itself quivered. The entire plains trembled. Even those tens of thousands of miles away from the Yuha God dynasty's borders felt the shockwave running through the earth. In the eyes of the millions of Shanbei people, Princess Yulin had split the Wolf Story Mountain in two with a single stroke of her sword. The white and red palace were now separated from each other. Thanks for listening. The story continues shortly. This was read to you by Erebus.